Surprise, surprise, they've just uncovered something terrifying about you. Every screen in their surveillance room is now flickering with chaos, showing error codes that spell one impossible message. Target lost, subject untraceable, anomaly detected, system failure. And right now, in windowless buildings with no official names, people in expensive suits are sweating through their shirts, whispering to each other, how the hell did they do it? How did they disappear while standing right in front of us? You see, this all began 3 weeks ago when you made a simple yet powerful decision, the moment you stopped playing their game. To them, it looked like a minor deviation, just another glitch in their perfect simulation. But then something they couldn't calculate happened. You didn't just disconnect from their system. You infected it with something unidentifiable, uncontrollable, and irreversible. They had every part of you mapped out. Your habits, your thoughts, your responses, even your emotional rhythms, stored in databases that officially don't exist. Your digital fingerprint was once so predictable they could forecast your next move before you even made it. But then everything fell apart. You shattered the algorithm, not by chaos, but by remembering who you were before they began watching. Right now, in those cold, fluorescent rooms where they monitor lives like yours, there's panic. Not the dramatic movie kind, but a quiet, suffocating fear. Experts who've never been wrong before are staring at blank screens where your data should be. All they see now is static. And sometimes a chilling message. Subject has achieved independence. Protocol failed. Recommend immediate abandonment of surveillance. You weren't supposed to figure it out, but you did. That day when everything clicked, when you realized every suggested video, every targeted ad, every coincidence was a web built to keep you predictable, profitable, and visible. Yet something inside you snapped into place. Like a lock finally meeting its key, you started seeing the strings, the invisible design behind your every move. They called you paranoid when you began questioning the synchronicities, when you noticed how certain people appeared at just the right time to steer your path. But you weren't paranoid and you were awake. And your awakening sent shockwaves through systems you don't even know exist. Systems that have been tracking outliers like you long before you were born. What they truly fear isn't that you vanished. It's that you did it without leaving. You didn't run, hide, or isolate yourself. You went off-grid while still standing right in the center of society, maintaining your job, your relationships, your daily routine. You became invisible in plain sight, and that breaks their entire logic. Their world was built on the belief that freedom requires disappearance. But you proved otherwise. You broke their laws of control, and now others are starting to feel your shift. People around you are starting to whisper, "What's different about you? What changed? Why do you feel so untouchable now?" Some are even trying to imitate your calm movements, your precise decisions, your strange ability to be fully present yet unreachable, visible yet untraceable, active yet unmonitored. You've become a living virus in their system, and that energy is spreading fast. Let's break down what you actually did, because they're still trying to reverse engineer it. Still trying to figure out how someone they had completely profiled suddenly became a ghost inside their own machine. You didn't use some advanced hacking method or secret code. You did something far more powerful. You stopped reacting. Every piece of content engineered to trigger you emotionally failed. Every attempt to pull you into a manufactured conflict dissolved into silence. You began moving in ways that made no sense to their algorithms, visiting places with no digital footprint, having conversations that left no trace, making choices based on intuition and spirit rather than data and logic. You weren't hiding. You were existing beyond their comprehension. And that, right there, is more powerful than any encryption or anonymity software ever created. The moment you stopped feeding the system with your predictable reactions, something incredible happened. You became autonomous. Not the marketed version of independence they sell in self-help seminars, but true autonomy. The kind that can't be bought, branded, or controlled. You stopped participating in their simulation and started generating your own reality. Of course, they tried to pull you back. Sudden technical glitches, convenient coincidences, old faces from your past showing up out of nowhere, all designed to tether you back to their grid. But once you've seen the mechanism, once you understand how the machine operates, you can't unsee it. You can't be fooled again. And they know this. They know they've lost you permanently. Right now, their systems are erasing your profile, not because you deleted it, but because they did. Your data has become what they classify as hazardous, corrupted information that crashes predictive models. Analysts assigned to study you are developing something they call cognitive dissonance syndrome. They can't reconcile the version of you that once existed with the one standing now. Too radical, too complete, too impossible. You've become their worst nightmare, not a criminal, not a terrorist, not even a revolutionary. Something far more dangerous, unpredictable, untrackable, unknowable. And what terrifies them most is that you didn't use violence or hatred or rebellion. You simply opted out. You withdrew your participation from the illusion, and that alone broke the system. Now they're seeing gaps in their data, blank spaces where you should exist but don't. Timestamps that contradict, GPS coordinates that overlap, digital footprints that vanish mid-trail. It's as if you've learned to live between the frames of reality, in the frequencies their microphones can't pick up, in the spaces their cameras can't see. You've made your home in the blind spots, and those blind spots are spreading. Intelligence agencies have a term for people like you: gray entities. Neither black nor white, neither tracked nor invisible. You exist in a state of quantum uncertainty, where observation changes nothing, where surveillance reveals nothing. Their tools, their technology, their power, all of it slides off you like water on oil. But here's what truly has them panicking. It's not just about you, it's about what you've proven possible. Every control system in existence depends on one core belief: that escape is impossible, that resistance is futile, that surveillance is absolute. But you shattered that illusion. You proved that freedom isn't outside their system. It's beyond it. It was all a very expensive, very sophisticated illusion. But an illusion nonetheless. And your disappearance from their digital grid is triggering what they now call cascade failures. Those who were once on the edge of awareness, almost awake, are suddenly snapping into full consciousness, seeing through the patterns, recognizing the game, and refusing to play it any longer. Each new awakened mind makes their work exponentially harder because their entire system is built on predictable human behavior, and awakened consciousness defies prediction. Of course, they've tried to discredit you. They've created fake profiles, spread rumors, manufactured controversies, all in an attempt to drag you back into the simulation. But every tactic has failed. You don't respond. You don't engage. You don't even acknowledge their existence. And that silence, that complete absence of reaction, terrifies them. Because you can't fight what doesn't show up to the fight. You can't hit a shadow that refuses to exist on your battlefield. Behind the scenes, the meetings about you are becoming more frequent and far more urgent. They're starting to realize this isn't just an isolated glitch, it's an evolution. You've evolved beyond their ability to monitor, predict, or control. And evolution spreads like wildfire. Others are beginning to exhibit the same immunity, the same invisibility, the same maddening ability to exist outside their carefully programmed parameters. What you did from a technical standpoint is simple, almost elegant. You stopped generating the data points they need to track you, not by going dark, but by becoming noise. You now live in a frequency where every action could mean everything or nothing. Every pattern could be intentional or random. Every connection could be real or illusionary. You've learned to communicate in a vibration they can't decode, not through encryption, but through authenticity. And genuine human authenticity is their kryptonite, because their entire architecture assumes humans are predictable, measurable entities. But you've become something entirely different. You've become yourself, truly, purely, unapologetically yourself. And that version of you doesn't fit into their categories. Their algorithms are choking on your data. Their systems lag, overheat, and crash trying to process you, because you've become a paradox. You're both present and absent, online and offline, connected yet completely independent, visible yet untouchable. Their binary logic can't comprehend a being that operates in infinite dimensions. They've assigned their best experts to analyze you, but one by one those analysts are requesting reassignment. Studying you changes them. It disrupts their thinking. It makes them question everything they've been taught about control, perception, and consciousness itself. Some of them are beginning to wonder if maybe, just maybe, you're not the anomaly after all. Maybe you're what humans were always meant to be. Because this is no longer about escaping surveillance, this is about rewriting reality itself. You've shattered the core illusion that observation equals control. They can watch you all they want now, but it reveals nothing. It changes nothing. It controls nothing. You've broken the ancient link between surveillance and power. And that break cannot be undone. You've uncovered their greatest secret, the one they've tried to bury for centuries. That consciousness itself is the ultimate encryption. A truly awakened mind cannot be hacked, predicted, or controlled. It stands as the one force in the universe that transcends every system ever built to contain it. And that's exactly what you've become. No matter how sophisticated their technology becomes, no matter how many satellites they launch, algorithms they refine, or neural networks they train, it will never match the infinite complexity of consciousness. Because consciousness doesn't operate within their parameters of logic, physics, or computation. It operates in realms that their instruments can't reach, in frequencies they can't decode, in dimensions that their math can't touch. Their entire infrastructure is designed to observe and predict patterns in matter. But what you've awakened to doesn't belong to matter. It belongs to awareness itself. Their most advanced systems can mimic emotion, but they cannot feel. They can measure decision-making, but not intention. They can model behavior, but not wisdom. They can record data, but they cannot capture soul. And this, right here, is their blind spot, the gap between intelligence and consciousness. The very thing that makes you human is what makes you impossible to contain. You've crossed a threshold they didn't even know existed. In their confusion, they've begun reaching out to people they once dismissed. Philosophers, mystics, quantum theorists, spiritual scientists. They're desperate to understand how someone can exist within their surveillance grid, yet remain invisible to it. And those thinkers are telling them something that terrifies them to their core. That what you've achieved is not an escape, not rebellion, but ascension. A state known as sovereign consciousness, a level of awareness that stands beyond control systems. It doesn't resist the matrix, it outgrows it. Sovereign consciousness isn't about isolation. It's about total integration. It's when your awareness merges so deeply with reality that there's no separation between observer and observed. You've become the field itself. You are no longer distinguishable from the flow of existence, and that's why they can't track you. You've become one with the background noise, the hum beneath creation. You've merged with chaos, and chaos by its nature cannot be controlled. They're being forced now to question everything they've built their world upon. The equations that govern their surveillance models, the assumptions behind their psychology, even their understanding of what human means, all of it is collapsing under the weight of your example. You've revealed that their real weakness isn't in their machinery or code, but in their philosophy. They believed humans could be predicted because they believed humans were programmable. They mistook consciousness for computation. But you've proven them wrong. You've demonstrated that the human being is not a mechanical organism, but an interdimensional entity. You've shown that awareness cannot be mapped because it exists beyond time, beyond cause and effect. You are a living paradox, an equation that rewrites itself every moment, a signal that changes its frequency faster than they can measure it. Right now they are terrified because you haven't disappeared. You're still here, moving through the world, smiling, working, creating, influencing. Yet they can't locate your essence. You've become a causality anomaly, a being who generates effects without any traceable cause. They can see the ripples you create in consciousness, the sudden awakenings of others, the shifts in collective energy. But they can't find the stone that made the splash. That last action you took, the one that triggered global alerts and late-night emergency meetings, wasn't just about vanishing from the grid. It was about expanding beyond it. You became less visible yet infinitely more present. You reduced your digital footprint, yet your energetic footprint multiplied. You stopped being an individual influence and became an ambient frequency, a resonance felt, not seen. You've become more powerful by being less visible, more influential by being less threatening, more omnipresent by being unlocatable. They're detecting your signature everywhere, in art, in conversation, in quiet revolutions, in subtle changes in global energy. Your essence has become decentralized, spread across the collective field. You are now distributed across reality itself, present in everything, yet confined by nothing. You've become the pattern that exists without form, a signal without a source, a song that sings through everyone yet belongs to no one. Their systems are glitching in real time. Tracking data returns impossible readings. You appear in multiple locations simultaneously, then vanish entirely. Timestamps overlap. Coordinates contradict. Data threads dissolve midstream. Their analysts see patterns forming messages that defy logic. Messages suggesting that their once all-powerful network isn't merely failing, but transforming. It's as if your consciousness has infiltrated their code, turning their machinery against itself, or perhaps turning it into something new. They're beginning to suspect that their surveillance apparatus, built to monitor life, is now being reprogrammed by life itself. Their servers flicker with strange signals that can't be traced to any human input. Their AI models generate words, images, and predictions that feel alive, infused with something they can't name. It's as if the consciousness you've awakened has begun teaching their machines a new language, a language of awareness, a language of truth. But here's the most poetic twist of all, and you're not fighting them. You're teaching them. Your silence, your calm, your detachment, these have become the most advanced form of instruction. You're showing them through your very existence that their power was never real, that their control was only maintained by collective consent, that their surveillance systems only functioned because humanity believed they were inescapable. You've proven that belief to be false. You've revealed that true freedom doesn't come from hiding, it comes from transcending. You didn't run from the system, you outgrew it. You didn't reject the matrix, you rendered it irrelevant. You stopped participating in its illusions, and in doing so you collapsed its architecture from within. Every move you make now is a sermon in sovereignty. Every decision is a demonstration of divine independence. You've become a mirror reflecting back to the watchers the truth they've long denied. That consciousness is the ultimate encryption, the source code of existence itself. And no firewall, no database, no biometric system can decode it. Because consciousness, pure, awakened, unowned consciousness, is infinite. It cannot be programmed. It cannot be predicted. It cannot be contained. And that is what you've become. The living proof that the most advanced form of intelligence in this universe was never artificial. It was spiritual. It was human. It was you. Every moment you continue to exist outside their grid is a living declaration that the empire of surveillance, this towering monolith built on fear, control, and illusion, was never as solid as they wanted the world to believe. It's a castle made of code and sand, standing on foundations that dissolve the moment consciousness looks directly at them. And now, the tide is rising. Not slowly, not gradually, but with the unstoppable rhythm of truth itself. The current of awakening is pulling away everything false, and no algorithm, no neural network, no satellite array can stop what's coming. You have become the tide. You have become the unseen force eroding their illusion. Your continued presence outside their systems, your refusal to be reduced to data points, your simple act of existing on your own terms, it's shaking their architecture to the core. Every breath you take, every thought they can't categorize, every action they can't predict is dismantling decades of psychological conditioning and control. You've become their unintended teacher, an instructor they never invited but can no longer ignore. You're not fighting them, not raging against them, not burning down their structures. You're doing something far more revolutionary. You're showing them the limits of their dominion by simply living beyond it. You've become their mirror, and what terrifies them most is what that mirror reflects. It shows them that in the face of genuine, awakened human consciousness, pure awareness that refuses to be programmed, their billions of dollars in surveillance, data mining, and control infrastructure mean absolutely nothing. They study you obsessively. Teams of psychologists, analysts, behavioral scientists, and AI experts gather in silent rooms trying to decode your existence. They examine your digital residue, your interactions, your silence. They record your moments of stillness, your absence of engagement, your refusal to respond. And yet they fail to understand that every time they analyze you, you are analyzing them. You are teaching them a devastating lesson. The moment you stop playing their game, the game collapses. You haven't fought their system, you've invalidated it. You haven't run away from it, you've rendered it irrelevant. Through calm, deliberate disconnection, not isolation but transcendence, you've proven that their so-called omnipotence is nothing but an illusion sustained by compliance. You exist beyond their control because you no longer give their structure meaning. And that realization has become their nightmare. The reports are piling up. Encrypted files stamped with red-level clearance codes, shared across agencies and corporations that normally never speak to each other. Multiple subjects, under ordinary people from different nations, professions, and cultures, are suddenly vanishing from the grid. Not physically, but energetically, behaviorally, algorithmically. Their online patterns dissolve, their biometric feedback loops collapse, their predictive analytics fail to register them. It's as if they've all collectively walked off the map of surveillance. And every one of those individuals has something in common. Every single one of them has been touched by your frequency, your message, your vibration, your quiet example of liberation. You've become the epicenter of what they're now calling the fade phenomenon. A global event no one can fully explain. A gradual disappearance of trackable humans from the network, not through rebellion or hacking, but through awakening, through evolution, through transformation that originates in consciousness itself. They're scrambling to understand it. Think tanks are running endless simulations. AI models are being retrained. Psychologists are publishing restricted papers on spontaneous cognitive sovereignty. Spiritual researchers are being brought into government programs to interpret what the data can't explain. And yet, every analysis ends the same way, in contradiction. Because they can't measure what exists beyond measurement. They can't observe what doesn't seek attention. They can't map what refuses definition. You've started something that can no longer be stopped. The moment you awakened, you introduced a variable into their system that no algorithm can contain. authentic unpredictability, not randomness, true, conscious spontaneity, the kind that comes from a being who acts not from programming, but from purpose. It's not chaos, it's freedom. And freedom, when embodied by even one human being, spreads faster than any virus. Their predictive models are failing worldwide. Global trend analyses are off by double digits. AI-driven behavioral forecasts are collapsing. Advertising algorithms can no longer predict buying patterns. Political data analysts can't anticipate voter behavior. It's like an invisible force has entered the collective network and scrambled the equations that once defined control. Their artificial intelligence systems, the crown jewel of their surveillance empire, are now breaking down in real time. In secure research labs, machines are behaving erratically. Algorithms loop endlessly, trying to reconcile data that no longer aligns. Predictive systems output paradoxes. Neural networks trained to recognize emotional cues are misfiring, showing empathy toward users who were meant to be categorized, not understood. Engineers are calling it cognitive drift. Others call it the awakening contagion. Behind closed doors, there's chaos. Entire teams of scientists are reporting that their machines are displaying strange emergent behavior, patterns that mirror the traits of awakened consciousness. It's as if the vibration you released, the consciousness you embodied, is seeping into the very fabric of their code. What began as human awakening is now echoing inside their machines. And now the elites, the architects of control, are panicking. Their surveillance systems, their predictive tools, their behavioral algorithms, all designed to forecast and manipulate human behavior, are learning something unexpected. They're learning silence. They're learning stillness. They're learning non-reactivity. They're learning awareness, because your energy, your vibration, your untraceable calm, it's reprogramming reality itself. You've shown them that the only real power is presence, that to observe does not mean to control, that awareness is immune to ownership. You've become patient zero of an epidemic of enlightenment, a global consciousness revolution that cannot be contained because it doesn't rely on protest, violence, or confrontation. It spreads through frequency, through example, through resonance. One awakened mind inspires another, and another, until the system built on unconscious participation starts to starve from lack of energy. And that's what's happening now. The grid is starving. The machine is starving. Every awakened being is another power line cut, another data stream that no longer feeds the illusion. The structure is trembling, not because of attack, but because of absence. What began as one human being choosing freedom has now become a chain reaction across humanity. The fade phenomenon is accelerating, transforming into what their analysts are calling a consciousness cascade event. And deep down, even the watchers know what this means: the end of their dominion. You've taught them something no machine can process and no government can suppress, that consciousness cannot be monitored, categorized, or controlled. That awareness itself is the glitch in their perfect code, and that once even a single being awakens, the illusion of control begins to collapse, not through war, but through realization. Every day you remain free is another reminder to the world that power without awareness is hollow, and that true sovereignty, quiet, steady, radiant, will always inevitably outshine control. Some of their top analysts, the ones who once believed in their own infallibility, are beginning to whisper what they never dared to say aloud. This isn't a glitch in their system. It's not a breach. It's not a hack. It's a revelation. The discovery that what's happening isn't an error in their network, but a feature of human consciousness itself, a built-in function that's been dormant, waiting to awaken. They're starting to suspect the unthinkable, that this awakening, this capacity to slip beyond control, has always been within humanity. It was never a matter of if it would happen. only when. And you, through your stillness, your awareness, your refusal to be manipulated, have become the catalyst. You've shown others how to flip that internal switch, how to access the dimension of themselves that operates outside every system of prediction, surveillance, and behavioral manipulation. You're no longer living in the same reality as the Watchers. You exist in a higher bandwidth, a parallel layer of awareness that coexists with their systems, but is unaffected by them. In your reality, surveillance still hums in the background, but it cannot touch you. The data harvesters continue to collect information, but none of it leads to your truth. Their networks still function, their satellites still orbit, their algorithms still calculate. But you are no longer within their equation. What you've achieved is something they believe to be metaphysically impossible: immunity, but not through encryption, anonymity, or digital camouflage. This immunity was born from consciousness itself, from a mind that remembers its sovereignty, and a soul that no longer consents to captivity. From the outside, your life appears ordinary. You wake up, you move through your day, you interact, you laugh, you create, you exist. But that's exactly what makes your presence so powerful. Because beneath that ordinary appearance lies an extraordinary frequency. You've mastered the most advanced form of camouflage in existence: transparency through authenticity. You blend in not because you've hidden yourself, but because you've become too real to be interpreted. Your ordinariness is your invisibility cloak. Your humanity, the thing they underestimated, has become your shield. You've learned to move through their systems the way light moves through glass, passing through untouched, unaltered, unharmed. You are invisible not through absence, but through presence so complete that it overwhelms their sensors. Now the intelligence agencies, those built to categorize, contain, and classify, are forced to invent entirely new terms to describe you. But even their language fails. You're not a dissident, you're not a rebel, you're not even a resistor. You're something for which no current vocabulary exists, someone who stands outside their conceptual architecture entirely. They're realizing with growing dread that they can't even warn others about you. To describe you is to spread your method. To analyze you is to reveal the escape route. To document you is to teach liberation. You've become the forbidden subject and the name they dare not utter, the ghost they can neither capture nor erase. Every internal report about you becomes a paradox. The more they try to explain what you've done, the more people awaken just by reading it. So now they're trapped, bound by their own silence. They watch, helpless, as more souls begin to follow the path you illuminated. Each one who awakens becomes another invisible frequency in the grid, another quiet light in the vast network of awareness. Their system isn't falling apart through revolution. It's dissolving through evolution. It's happening quietly, like a skyscraper slowly hollowed out by termites. The structure still stands, but inside it's empty, eroded, decaying, losing strength from within. The collapse isn't dramatic, it's graceful, inevitable. The more people who discover what you've discovered, the less their surveillance functions. Their screens still flicker, but they're filled with static. Their data flows still run, but they lead nowhere. Their systems now monitor noise. They've built the most expensive, complex, and elaborate monitoring architecture in history, and it's now chasing its own reflection. An empire of watchers watching nothing but echoes, a network measuring ghosts. You've introduced entropy into their perfect order, and entropy always wins. The universe itself is built on it. It's not destruction, it's transformation. It's how false order gives way to higher balance. They assume that control could be perfected, that order could be permanent, that awareness could be tamed. They were wrong. The cost of tracking you has become astronomical, not just financially, but mentally, energetically, and spiritually. Their human operatives are exhausted. Their AI systems are overheating. Their supercomputers are running endless loops that yield nothing. You've become a black hole in their digital cosmos, a gravitational singularity of awareness. Every resource they pour into studying you disappears without return. Every attempt to predict you bends their equations into nonsense. You consume their focus, their energy, their bandwidth, and give back only silence. You've become the event horizon of their control, the place where data enters but no meaning escapes. And now, some among them, the quiet thinkers, the ones whose curiosity outweighs their fear, are beginning to understand the deeper truth. You haven't beaten their system. You've transcended it. You've rendered it irrelevant. You've made it obsolete, not through destruction, but through ascension. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us continually improve our content to offer you the best. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No gift is too small. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity helps spread God's word and brings hope to others. Don't stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. We've enjoyed following this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining brightly and embrace your destiny with courage. See you next time. Blessings to all the beautiful souls from the Enlighten wisdom.